The community center was a pressure cooker that night, packed to the brim with neighbors elbow to elbow, their voices bouncing off the walls like a thunderstorm. You could feel the anger in the air, thick and heavy, as people shouted over one another, demanding answers about the new HOA fees that had blindsided us all just 2 months earlier. My wife squeezed my hand under the table, her eyes wide, as we watched the chaos unfold. Then, Ellen, our new treasurer, stood up, clutching a stack of papers that looked like they carried the weight of the world. Her voice trembled, but her words cut through the noise like a blade. "I found something in our HOA accounts," she said. "Thousands of dollars are missing." Every head in the room snapped toward Linda, our HOA president, sitting in her usual front row throne. Her face went pale, like she'd seen a ghost, and I knew right then something big was about to unravel. Linda had been running our neighborhood like her personal fiefdom for nearly 6 years. She was the kind of person who'd slap you with a fine if your mailbox tilted an inch too far, or if your kids left a bike in the driveway. That woman lived for control, always flashing her tight-lipped smile while preaching about community standards. So when she rammed through a massive fee increase at the spring meeting, claiming it was for critical landscaping upgrades, most of us just gritted our teeth and paid up. The hike was brutal, nearly double what we'd been shelling out before. Linda stood at the podium that night, decked out in her crisp blazer, while VYing around fancy charts about irrigation systems and tree maintenance like she was pitching a Fortune 500 boardroom. She sold it so well that a few folks even clapped, thanking her for taking charge. I remember sitting there, my gut twisting, thinking something about her spiel fell off, but I couldn't pin it down. Weeks dragged into months, and guess what? Not a single shrub was planted. No trees were trimmed. The irrigation system she called a ticking time bomb kept chugging along just fine. But Linda? She was VYing large. I started noticing her strutting around with designer purses that cost more than my car payment. Delivery trucks rolled up to her house daily, dropping off boxes with logos that screamed money. I'd see them on my morning runs, and I wasn't the only one raising an eyebrow. Whispers started spreading, but no one had proof until Ellen stepped in. Ellen was a retired accountant who'd taken the treasurer gig to bring some order to our HOA's messy books. She was relentless, the kind of person who'd chase down a missing penny like it was a federal crime. When she started digging, she unearthed a mess that would make your head spin. Suspicious withdrawals from our HOA account, all in neat, round numbers, all greenlit by Linda. The invoices tied to them were for companies with names so vague, things like Suburban Improvement Group or CIVYC AdVY LLC. They sounded like they were made up on the spot. Ellen tried Googling them. Nothing. No websites, no addresses, no trace. But she didn't stop there. Like a bloodhound, she followed the money, and what she found was jaw-dropping. Those companies were shells, funneling our cash straight to offshore gambling sites, poker rooms, digital slots, sports betting, you name it. Linda, our uptight, rule-obsessed president, was blowing our money on a gambling addiction. The next board meeting was a powder keg. Ellen laid it all out, her voice steady now, as she showed U.S. bank records, fake invoices, and a trail leading to Linda's secret VYC. The room was a sea of gasps and glares. Linda tried to play it cool, stammering about clerical errors and system glitches, but her eyes betrayed her she was cornered. Then Ellen dropped the hammer. She'd pulled IP logs from the HOA's computer, showing Linda logging into gambling sites during board meetings, sometimes mid-vote on neighborhood business. The proof was ironclad. Overdue law, 40,000 siphoned from our reserve fund into Linda's betting accounts over 18 months. For a moment, the room went dead quiet, then erupted. People were on their feet, yelling for her resignation, threatening lawsuits. Linda just sat there, her smug mask cracking, probably thinking she could bluff her way out like she always did. She was wrong. Ellen had already tipped off the police. 2 days later, I was trimming my hedges when I saw squad cars pull up to Linda's house. Officers stepped out, warrant in hand, and I peeked over my fence as they knocked. Linda opened the door in a bathrobe, her face draining of color as they explained they were seizing her laptop and records for a fraud investigation. They hauled out boxes of documents, and her computer, which, I later heard, still had poker sites open in the browser. The EVY Denke was a slam dunk. Bank records, forged approvals, and a clear pattern of theft. Linda was cuffed and charged with fraud, embezzlement, and breach of fiduciary duty that same day. The trial was the talk of the neighborhood. Linda showed up in court, trying to hold her head high, but the prosecution tore her apart. They mapped out her scheme-fake invoices, doctor documents, and a gambling habit that had her burning through cash faster than she could steal it. Experts testified she'd been glued to betting sites up to 12 hours a day, placing bets worth thousands, sometimes during HOA meetings. She'd been living a double life, the iron-fisted community leader by day, a desperate addict by night. The judge had no mercy. He slapped her with 3 years in prison, ordered her to repay due law $42,000 to the HOA, and mandated addiction treatment. As the gavel fell, Linda's composure shattered, her face crumpling like a house of cards. She was banned from ever holding an HOA role again, and CIVYL penalties loomed that would likely wipe her out. But the real kicker came months later. The feds shut down the main gambling site Linda used, part of a global fraud sting. When they published the site's top spenders, there was Linda's username among the top 5, with overdue loss, $60,000 lost money from our fees, and likely her family's SAVYNGS. The neighborhood pulled together after her fall. Ellen became president, slashing fees back to normal and vowing transparency. Trust was shaky, but we were rebuilding. Linda's name became a warning, a story other HOAs in town still whisper about. Now, here's where it gets messy. Was Linda a mastermind who played us all, or a VY Tim of her own addiction? Should we have caught her sooner, or was she just too good at hiding it? And what about the HOA system itself? Does it give people like her too much power? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story blew your mind, and subscribe for more wild tales. Let's get this debate rolling. What would you have done if you were in our shoes? Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.